Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by. Welcome to Alibaba Group's December quarter 2023 results conference call. At this time, all participants are on listen-only mode. After management's prepared remarks, there will be a Q&A session. I would now like to turn the call over to Rob Lin, Head of Investor Relations of Alibaba Group. Please go ahead.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Alibaba Group's December quarter 2023 results conference call. With us are Joe Tsai, Chairman; Eddie Wu, Chief Executive Officer; Toby Xu, Chief Financial Officer. We have also invited Jiang Fan, CEO of Alibaba International Digital Commerce Group, AIDC, to join the call. This call is also being webcasted on the IR section of our corporate website. A replay of the call will be available on our website later today. Now, let me cover the safe harbor. Today's discussion may contain forward-looking statements, including without limitation statements about our new organization and governance structure, strategies and business plans, as well as our beliefs and expectations about our business prospects, such as the future growth of our business, revenue, and return on investment. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ materially from our current expectations. For detailed discussions of these risks and uncertainties, please refer to our latest annual report on Form 20-F and other documents filed with the U.S. SEC, or announced on the website of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Any forward-looking statements that we make on this call are based on assumptions as of today, and we do not undertake any obligation to update these statements except as required under applicable law. Please note that certain financial measures that we use on this call, such as adjusted EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA margin, adjusted EBITDA margin, non-GAAP net income, non-GAAP diluted earnings per share or ADS, and free cash flow, are expressed on a non-GAAP basis. Our GAAP results and reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP measure can be found in earnings press release. Unless otherwise stated, growth rate of all stated metrics mentioned during this call refers to year-over-year growth versus the same quarter last year. With that, I will now turn to Eddie.
Hello, everyone. Over this past quarter, we delivered steady growth while making organizational adjustments that align with our strategic focus. At the same time, we took a deep look at our core business operations and the competitive landscape. We concluded that to maintain our competitive edge, we must increase our investment in core capabilities and adopt a more aggressive approach towards competition in order to win growth. Our top priority is to reignite the growth of our two core businesses, e-commerce and cloud computing. During the quarter, the execution of our user-first and competitive pricing strategies in Taobao and Tmall Group, TTG, was effective, resulting in healthy year-over-year GMV growth as the number of active buyers and order volume showed a robust increase. The number of merchants continued to grow at a double-digit rate, and I'll elaborate on the outlook and plans for 2024 in a moment. In cloud computing, we're committed to our strategy of prioritizing public cloud. We have proactively optimized our business structure, reduced revenue from project-based contracts, and increased investment in public cloud products. These structural adjustments are showing results, and Alibaba Cloud's overall profitability capability continues to improve. We've also upgraded Alibaba Cloud's sales operations, establishing different sales and service systems to serve different types and sizes of customers. By improving our customer coverage and service capabilities, we will enhance our growth rate. In the international commerce business, we focused on expanding cross-border offerings and enhancing the shopping experience. This quarter, all of AIDC's retail platforms achieved growth, resulting in international digital commerce overall revenues growing at a rapid rate of 44% year-over-year. Cainiao continued to develop its global smart logistics network with cross-border logistics fulfillment solutions contributing to 24% year-over-year revenue growth, as well as realizing strong synergies with the cross-border e-commerce business. Next, I'd like to share the strategic priorities for TTG in investing and capturing growth opportunities. TTG operates in the world's most competitive e-commerce market, which is China. As we carefully evaluate TTG's competitive position within the China e-commerce market, we note that TTG continues to be number one in GMV share and is the leading platform for consumer shopping. Merchants operate on the platform as their primary place of e-commerce business, and TTG has the deepest and most comprehensive selection of products amongst its peers. However, we must still make targeted investments and improvements in price competitiveness, service, and user experience. Given that consumers use multiple platforms, returning to a user-centric approach is at the heart of our strategy. We'll increase investment in core user experiences to enhance the customer shopping experience. I'm confident that by focusing on delivering the incredible Taobao or universal Taobao experience, offering quality products at attractive prices with great service, meeting the different needs of different consumer segments, TTG will earn users' trust and return to growth. Thus, 2024 will be a year of comprehensive capability upgrades for TTG and also a year of significant investment, and we'll be prioritizing investment in the following areas. 1, product supply. We'll increase our investments in growing the selection of branded products and direct-from-manufacturer products on TTG's platforms. This will further strengthen our product supply advantages to better address new consumption trends and demands. 2, competitive pricing and efficiency. We'll increase investment into product sourcing capabilities and optimizing business model relationships between merchants and our platform. For different types of suppliers, we'll offer flexible business models that are best suited to improve their operational efficiency and thereby enhance Taobao's value proposition. The competitive pricing we're focused on delivering is attractive prices for quality products. This is a demand that consumers have across cycles and is fundamental to doing business. 3, quality service. We will work with our merchants and logistics partners to invest in improving the entire consumer service experience, including pre-sale, in-sale, post-sale, and logistics. For different customer segments on the platform, we will build a consumer service system that accurately identifies and meets the various needs of the different groups. 4, increase purchase frequency. Through the above investments, we will enhance our comprehensive capabilities to offer quality products at attractive prices with great service. We believe that improving the platform's overall shopping experience and service quality will lead to increased purchase frequency and materially improve the efficiency of user growth. Today, Taobao and Tmall remain the most valuable shopping platforms and the main place for merchants to do business. With the comprehensive capability building plan for 2024, we're confident that TTG will return to growth. Next, I'll hand over to Jiang Fan to present on AIDC. Good evening, everybody. Over the past quarter, despite the uncertain international environment and more intense market competition, AIDC achieved rapid growth. Total orders grew by 24% year-on-year, driven by strong growth across all major retail platforms. Growth in our cross-border business was especially significant. Our 3 major growth drivers are, first, enhanced consumer experience as a result of our business model and supply chain services upgrade. Second, product and technology innovation. And third, our targeted expansion in priority markets. Next, I will present our business results and future development plans around these 3 drivers. First is our business model and supply chain services upgrade. Last quarter, AliExpress achieved year-on-year order growth of over 60%. This was mainly driven by the new AE Choice model that we launched in early 2023. The AE Choice model is, in essence, an upgrade that we made to our original pure platform model into a hybrid business model that combines POP on the one hand with a fully entrusted model on the other, and it's underpinned by supply chain efficiency. It optimizes supply on the platform by balancing experience with richness of offerings. By offering entrusted cross-border logistics, marketing, and other services, we lower the barrier for merchants to engage in cross-border business, bringing more certainty to their operations and more diverse assortment to the platform. At the same time, we continue to enhance the end-to-end consumer experience, including by providing more stable product quality and more competitive prices, by continuing to optimize delivery time, and by adding value-added services like local product return. As of January 2024, Choice already made up half of all AliExpress orders. Its high-quality user experience has driven significant user growth and transaction growth. on the AliExpress platform, and going forward, we'll continue to invest resolutely to further increase choice penetration and provide a better experience to more users. In terms of product and technology innovation, AIDC serves consumers in different countries and regions around the world. We've already optimized products in certain key countries and regions in line with local preferences. These efforts have been highly appreciated, and we'll continue to pursue that kind of innovation and upgrading. We're also actively deploying AI to enhance operating efficiency and lower barriers for merchants. Our suite of AI-based digital foreign trade products have been officially launched, enabling real-time language translation, AI logistics services, rapid generation of images and videos for marketing, etc. Third, sustained growth in key markets. In the last quarter, we achieved good growth in different regional markets, and in certain key markets, AE achieved breakthrough rapid growth to become the leading platform locally. In Turkey and neighboring markets, Trendyol continued to achieve robust double-digit order growth and maintained its leading position in the Turkish market. It also further expanded its business in valuable new markets in the Middle East. In Europe, Alibaba.com completed its acquisition of the well-known European B2B digital trade platform Visible, further expanding its supplier base in the region and further advancing Alibaba.com's global expansion and dual brand strategy. There is huge potential for AIDC to increase user penetration in the majority of overseas markets. Building on our current resources and footprint, we will increase our investment in select regional markets where we see opportunities and value to achieve opportunities for high certainty and healthy growth. Going forward, we'll continue to maintain our rapid growth momentum and provide consumers with improved differentiated services. To that end, we'll continue to increase our investments in enhancing user experience and business competitiveness while expanding our business scale. Thank you.
Thank you, Jiangfan. We achieved a healthy financial performance in the past quarter, driven by steady business momentum and improving operating efficiency in several major businesses. Total consolidated revenue was RMB 260.3 billion, an increase of 5%. Consolidated adjusted EBITDA increased by 2% to RMB 52.8 billion. Our non-GAAP net income was RMB 48 billion, a decrease of 4%. Our GAAP net income was RMB 10.7 billion, a decrease of 35 billion. That was primarily attributable to change in investment values and impairments. Firstly, there was a market-to-market change from our equity investments of about RMB 19 billion. Second, amortization impairment of intangible assets was RMB 14.6 billion, of which RMB 12.1 billion was related to Sunna impairment. Third, impairment of goodwill was RMB 8.5 billion related to Youku. The above three items were excluded from non-GAAP net income. As of December 31st, 2023, we continue to maintain a strong net cash position of RMB 487 billion, or $68.6 billion. Free cash flow this quarter was RMB 56.5 billion, a decrease of 31%. The decrease in free cash flow was attributed to increased CapEx and several one-time factors, including timing of income tax payments and working capital changes related to several of our businesses. Now let's look at the segment results, starting with Taobao and Tmall Group. Revenue for Taobao and Tmall Group was RMB 129.1 billion, an increase of 2%. During this quarter, we made steady progress to execute our Taobao and Tmall strategies. We observed a few positive trends. As Eddie mentioned, our online GMV achieved healthy growth, with order volume growing strongly during the quarter. Notably, the order volume exhibited double digits year-over-year growth during the second half of the quarter. Importantly, we continued our efforts to onboard a wide range of brands and merchants. The number of operating merchants on our platform continued to grow at double digits, and this trend has sustained over the past 4 quarters. Additionally, we are also seeing strong growth in paying merchants. Customer management revenue was RMB 92.1 billion, relatively flat year-over-year. The overall take rate decreased slightly year-over-year, mainly because of the increase in GMV came from Taobao merchants. The mix shift of GMV towards Taobao merchants provide us with further monetization potential because the take rate from Taobao merchants has been improving while Tmall merchants' take rate was unchanged during the quarter. Importantly, this trend also reflects increasing consumers' demand of price-competitive products offered on our platform. Direct sales and others revenue increased 2% to RMB 31.6 billion. China Commerce Wholesale business revenue increased 23% to RMB 5.3 billion, primarily due to an increase in revenue from value-added services of 160AA.com. Taobao and Tmall Group adjusted EBITDA increased by 1% to RMB 59.9 billion. The increase was primarily due to the narrowing losses in certain businesses, partly offset by the increase in investment in content, user acquisition, and retention of Taobao app, as well as technological innovation. We are in the process of revitalizing Taobao and Tmall Group and positioning it for future growth. We are beginning to see early signs of GMV growth recovery, driven in part by investment made since earlier this fiscal year. We still have a lot of work ahead. As Eddie mentioned, we will invest for future growth and strengthen Taobao and Tmall Group's market leadership. Our Cloud Intelligence Group revenue quality continues to improve as we proactively reduce revenue from low-margin project-based contracts. Additionally, we recorded healthy growth of our public cloud revenue from external customers. Revenue from Cloud Intelligence Group was RMB 28.1 billion in this quarter, an increase of 3%. Cloud's adjusted EBITDA increased by 86% to RMB 2.4 billion. The continuous improvement in our adjusted EBITDA reflected improving product mix through our focus on public cloud and operating efficiency. The enhanced profitability of cloud business gives us confidence to invest in technology and customers to strengthen our public cloud leadership in the future. Alibaba International Digital Commerce Group revenue was RMB 28.5 billion, an increase of 44%. Revenue from international commerce retail business increased by 56% to RMB 23.3 billion. The increase in revenue was primarily due to solid revenue growth from AliExpress, especially Choice business and Trendyol. Revenue from our international commerce wholesale business increased by 8% to RMB 5.3 billion. The increase was primarily due to an increase in revenue generated by cross-border related value-added services from Alibaba.com. AIDC's adjusted EBITDA was a loss of RMB 3.1 billion. Losses increased primarily because of the increase in investment in AliExpress's Choice, Trendyol's international business, partly offset by improvement in monetization across all major platforms. Overall, we have seen a very rapid order and revenue growth of our AIDC cross-border e-commerce business over the last few quarters. To sustain this momentum and provide differentiated services to customers, we increased the investment during this quarter and will step up investments to drive further growth. Total revenue from Cainiao grew 24% to RMB 28.5 billion, primarily contributed by the increase in revenue from cross-border fulfillment solutions. Cainiao adjusted EBITDA was RMB 961 million, compared to a loss of RMB 12 million in the same quarter last year. The increase reflected economies of scale that leads to cost optimization as well as optimized operating expenditure spending. In the coming quarters, as a strategic partner of AliExpress, we will increase investments in expanding our cross-border logistics capabilities to support AE Choice's growth. Local services group revenue in December quarter grew 13% to RMB 15.2 billion, driven by healthy growth of Ele.me and rapid growth of AMAP. Local service group adjusted EBITDA was a loss of RMB 2.1 billion this quarter, compared to a loss of RMB 2.9 billion same quarter last year, primarily due to the continued narrowing of loss from our to-home business, driven by Ele.me's improved unit economics and increasing scale. Revenue from our DME group was RMB 5 billion, an increase of 18%, primarily driven by the strong revenue growth of offline entertainment businesses. Adjusted EBITDA was a loss of RMB 517 million, compared to a loss of RMB 391 million same quarter last year. Losses increased primarily due to the increased losses of Youku. Revenue from all other segments decreased 7% to RMB 47 billion, mainly due to the decrease in revenue from Sun-Art. Adjusted EBITDA from all other segments was a loss of RMB 3.2 billion, compared to a loss of RMB 1.7 billion in the same quarter last year, primarily due to increase in year-over-year loss from Sun-Art due to scale down of certain of businesses. Excluding Sun-Art, Freshippo, and in-time businesses that have physical retail operations, group revenue would have grown at approximately 8%, and our group consolidated adjusted EBITDA margin would have been 4 percentage points higher at approximately 24% this quarter. Lastly, we remain committed to returning cash to shareholders. We have been consistently buying back shares. In the 12 months ended December 31st, 2023, we have repurchased $9.5 billion in shares and have reduced the share count by 3.3% after accounting for shares issued under our ESOP. Additionally, quarter to date, until February 6th, we have repurchased another $1.4 billion worth of our shares. Our board of directors has approved the upsize of the share repurchase program by another $25 billion through March 2027. Upsizing our share repurchase program demonstrates our strong confidence in our business fundamentals and cash flow generation capability. Following the upsize, we currently have $35.3 billion available in our share repurchase program. The upsized program will allow us to achieve a net reduction in share count and achieve EPS and cash flow per share accretion. Subject to market conditions, we target to achieve at least 3% in annual reduction in total share outstanding for the next 3 fiscal years. Thank you. That's the end of our prepared remarks. We can open up for Q&A.
Everyone, for today's call, you are welcome to ask questions in Chinese or English. A third-party translator will provide consecutive interpretation for the Q&A session. Please note that the translation is for convenience purpose only. In the case of any discrepancy, our management statement in the original language will prevail. If you are unable to hear the Chinese translation, bilingual transcripts of this call will be available on our website within 7 working days after the Chinese New Year holiday. 大家好，今天的电话会议欢迎您用中文或英文提问，我们会有第三方公证人员提供实时的交替翻译。翻译的目的是方便大家理解，如有任何疑义，请以我们管理层原始语言所做的陈述为准。 如您无法听到中文翻译，本次电话会议的双语记录会将在中国春节假期后7个工作日内在我们的网站上提供。Operator, please connect the speaker and SI conference line now and start the Q&A session when ready. Thank you.
Thank you. If you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press star 2. If you're on a speakerphone, please pick up the handset to ask your question. To give more people the opportunity to ask questions, please keep yourself to no more than one question at a time. Your first question comes from Ronald Keung with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Joe, Eddie, Fan, Toby, and Rob. And want to ask about the Taobao Tmall take rate this quarter that we just mentioned is like 4 and a blended take rate. And you mentioned about the different factors, the mix shift, but also Taobao take rate increase. So want to hear what is driving the take rate increase on the specific particularly on Taobao, how is the adoption of our sales-based, kind of cost per sales-based shift in our AdTech upgrades? And just on the blend of this, then when should we expect take rates to stabilize, i.e. the GMV and CMR to stabilize in the same rate? And how should we think about the long-term take rate potential, given that we're still much lower than global peers, and I would say lower than quite a few of our China peers? So the potential there, immediate in the near term, when to stabilize, and long-term potential. Thank you.
那层，我的问题是有关于这次公布的就是淘宝天猫这个take rate 变现率的一个增幅。那么想要具体了解一下就是这个 take rate 还有 GMV CMR 什么时候可以稳定下来？然后我们如何思考这个中长期的这个 take rate 变现率的增加的一个潜力，因为相比很多我们在中国的同业，这个 take rate 还是偏低的。
Okay, thank you, Reno. I will take this question. For this quarter, actually, if you look at it, the overall take rate dropped a little bit. As I was explaining in my script, actually, this drop was because of the mix shift. As we can see, consumers appetite for relative price competitive products, grow. So that's why we can see the GM shift from towards the Taobao merchant.
提问，我是Toby，我来回答。那么我刚才在发言稿中讲的是本季度我们整体的 take rate 变现率实际上是略微下降的。这主要呢是由于这个结构的变化这个带来的，也就是说当前的消费者他们对于这个有价格力的就是低价好物这样的货品是有很强的一个偏好。
This actually is we see the early success of the execution of our strategy because as we announced in the early of the year, the strategy for Taobao and Tmall is user centric. So we need to build up the supply for all our consumers, particularly for the price competitive products. So that's why this is a sort of demonstrates the early success of the execution of our strategy.
这个结构的变化应该说是证明了我们年初宣布并开始实施的这个战略已经开始产生效。年初时我们所宣布的就是以用户为中心的这样一个战略。那么这里面意味着就是为各个不同层次的消费者要密切的供应，尤其是对于关注价格的消费者提供这个价格力的这样的供应，所以应该说是证明了我们这个战略初步是产生了成效。
So for the slightly drop of the take rate, overall take rate, we are not too concerned because what we believe is, as I said, for Taobao merchants, the take rate is growing. Just like what you said, the overall take rate in our platform is still, relatively lower compared with the other platforms, which actually shows the big potential we have in terms of increasing some of the take rates via so enhancing the operating efficiency on our platform, as well as enable the merchants to increasing the operating efficiency, which will help us to increase our take rate.
看到整体变现率略微下降，我们并不感到担心。就是本来淘宝这些商家的变现率是在上升中的，而且总体而言如您所说，我们现在整个 take rate 还是比别的一些平台要低一些。那么这个就是说明了未来还是有很大的一个 take rate 可以提升的一个空间那么我们也可以通过改善我们自身平台的运营效率还可以赋能商家提升他们的经营效率，通过这样的一些方式，我们可以提高一些。
谢谢托比，我来再补充一下，就是关于我们的整体的经营里面，我们的关于用户的消费频次和 GMV 以及 take rate 的我们的执行关系，就现在的我们的执行的商业战略上来说，我们现在还处于在如何提高用户的消费频次，从而带动 GMV 的增长的过程当中。那在我们的产品和我们的计划当中，我们会在我们的 GMV 获得一个明显的一个增长的基础上，我们会去提升我们的广告产品，而我们的广告产品会针对中小商家做非常大的优化，在那个阶段我们会来提升，通过我们广告产品的优化来帮助中小商家更好的提升变现效率。所以总体来说，我们对 take rate 的与 GMV 的这个增速的这个匹配，我们并不担心，因为我们有一个比较明确的一个先后顺序的一个产品计划。
Thank you. This is Eddie. I'd like to add to that answer that Toby just gave. Talking on an overall strategic level about how we view the relationship between purchase frequency, GMV growth, and take rate, and what our strategy is. The strategy that we're executing now is focused on increasing purchase frequency. And by increasing purchase frequency, we will achieve GMV growth. On the basis of that GMV growth, and once that has been achieved, then we will be developing more advertising products that are highly optimized for SME merchants. And at that point, we'll be able to leverage those new advertising products to achieve higher monetization. There's a clear strategy and a plan time-wise in terms of how we're going to approach.
Question?
Thank you. Your next question comes from Alicia Yap with Citigroup. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. 管理层晚上好，谢谢接受我的提问。我其实也有就是跟进这个淘天集团的一个问题，就是我的理解请管理层看一下我的理解对不对？就是说我们感觉已经想重新强调这个轻资产平台的这个模式，这样后续的话，其实对于淘天集团这个 EBITDA 来讲，其实会有更高的一个利润率，这个理解是否对的？然后另外一个就是说，在这个比较激烈的竞争环境上，特别是这个平台模式哈，就是我们能够给商家带到的这个价值和其他渠道跟平台给商家带到的那个价值有什么最大的一个区别？然后在用户上，因为像其他这个短视频平台其实拥有很多自然的那个内容的流量，就是说现在他们也蛮成功，就是把这个流量转化到他们的货架电商这边。像我们有什么计划，就是说在获取新用户或者是引流这个旧买家回到我们平台这边有一些什么计划能够跟我们分享一下吗？好，谢谢。
Question also relating to the strategy for the Taobao Tmall group. I'm wondering if my understanding is correct, and if you could confirm this for me. in my understanding, we're going forward focusing more on a light asset strategy for our TTG, and as a result of that light asset strategy, we can expect to see an increase in EBITDA. Is that correct? And then my second question is, I'd like to know what is the biggest difference that TTG has in terms of its platform model when compared against other platforms. What's the biggest advantage that we offer to merchants? What's the way that we create more value for merchants than the other platforms do? We know that the short-form video platforms have lots of organic traffic, and they're able successfully to convert that into purchases of goods. So how is TTG going to traffic and pull back those existing customers?
我来解释一下你说的两个问题。我印象中你说的应该是两个问题吧。第一个问题是问的是关于，其实我想大概你想问的是背后我们现在的我们的收入构成里面，在淘天的收入构成里面，其实主要是由两部分构成的，一部分是我们的 CMR， 另外一部分呢是我们的类直营产品。那我觉得在我们的商业定位当中，我们的主要收入和利润其实主要来自于我们的 CMR 部分。未来在我们的直营的产品上面，那我们觉得我们在直营类的这个产品和平台上面，我们的未来的主要目的是为了保留客户以及提升客户的频次，以及在某些品类上我们要获取一个更大的竞争优势。所以从总体来看，我觉得我们的收入和利润我们更关注 CMR， 就直营平台的收入是我们获取用户和留存用户的这个手段。那关于你说的我们在面对不同的竞争对手，我们淘天平台的一些比较有特点的能力，我觉得首先对于商家而言，淘天平台是一个综合能力最强的一个平台。怎么解释我们的综合能力？因为我们在淘宝的这个平台上，我们有像类似直播这样的能够快速起量的营销工具，同时我们也有对商家来说非常至关重要的日常的营销或者销售非常重要的货架电商平台的这样一个工具。用户的非常多的主流心智还是通过我们淘宝的搜索平台去进行购物。那同时对于商家来说，还有另外一个重要的一个经营平台是它的私域工具。那商家的私域工具，我们在整个中国的电商市场上，对于品牌商家而言，淘天的提供的能力也是这个其中里面最强的能力。所以作为一个商家而言，在一个整体的任何一个商家而言，他在各个阶段的产品营销，包括日常的销售，以及包括他如何去管理好他的老客户，我们觉得在淘天平台的服务能力是最综合而且最完整的。那如何去获取在激烈的竞争当中如何去保留用户或者说提升用户的频次，我在之前的我的讲稿中已经讲到。那我们最重要的还是说如何针对精准的识别我们平台上的这么多的用户分层的消费需求，为他们提供更好的商品以及更好的价格和更好的服务。这个是整个电商零售当中针对消费者最核心的体验。我们相信通过提供更好的商品、更好的价格和更好的服务，能够提升用户的消费频次，保留住我们的更多的消费者。
Thank you. This is Eddie. I'll take that. And I think I heard a couple of different questions in there. If I understood correctly, the first question had to do with the revenue structure of the Taobao and Tmall group. Revenue comprises two parts, really, CMR, customer management revenue, and then direct sales offering. The way we look at the business, the bulk of our revenue and profits should be contributed by CMR. The purpose of having the direct sales offerings is firstly to retain customers, to help drive increased purchase frequency, and also to achieve an advantage, a competitive advantage in certain categories. But fundamentally, revenue and profits should be mostly contributed by CMR. Secondly, in terms of how Taobao Tmall Group is different from its competitors, I think from the merchant perspective, certainly TTG is the strongest platform with the most robust overall capabilities that it can offer merchants. We have live streaming and other marketing modalities on Taobao that can help to quickly drive purchase volumes for new product launches. Very important for merchants also are the day-to-day marketing operating tools that we offer. And in fact, a lot of purchases, of course, are made via the search function on Taobao. Of course, we also have robust private domain tools as well that are stronger than all of the other competitors. So for merchants, all of these different tools and services make it possible for them to achieve very robust marketing and high efficiency operations. So Taobao Tmall Group has the most comprehensive and fullest set of capabilities in these respects. The other question as to how to retain customers and drive purchase frequency on the platform, as I said in my opening remarks, this is really about precisely targeting the needs of different tiers of customers and ensuring that we have good products at good prices that we provide to them, coupled with good services, because together that makes up the core experience for customers relative to e-commerce. So that's how we're going to go about driving increased purchase frequency and growing GMV.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Jiayong Shao with Barclays. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for taking my question. I have a question about shareholder return. It's great you increased the buyback by 25 billion. But in terms of the pace of the buyback, we understand there are constraints and the limitations such as capital control. Could you talk about sort of the cash you may already have outside of China? What need to happen for you so you may be able to pick up the pace of the buyback? And related to that, any update on the potential IPOs of Freshippo and Cainiao? Thank you very much.
谢谢管理层接受我的提问。那么这次公司呢是增加了股份回购计划的规模增加了250亿美元，这个非常好。那么我的问题是关于这个股份回购的一个速度和节奏，因为可能这个股份回购过程中会面临一些制约因素包括资本管制或者是外汇管制。那么能不能谈一下现在公司在境外有多少的这个现金，然后有什么方法可以来提速，就股份回购怎么来这个就是加速。那么第二个问题呢，想了解一下就是盒马跟菜鸟这个 IPO 的一个最新的进展。
Okay, thank you for your question. I will take the first one and Joe will take the second one. For the share buyback and the preparation of the offshore cash, I think, for us, firstly, as you can see, we really have a sort of very strong balance in terms of cash, and a certain percentage of that cash actually is sitting offshore, which we can use to do the buyback. On the other hand, we also have a good channel that we can, dividend the cash out to offshore that we can further leverage either to make investments in our offshore, businesses, as well as using those sort of cash to do the buyback.
我先回答第一个问题，这是关于这个股份回购还有我们境外的现金。 那么实际上公司的资产负债表还是很强劲的，有非常充足的现金，而且其中有相当比例的现金本身就是在境外，那么这些境外的现金可以用来执行股份的回购。那么除此之外呢，我们还有很不错的这么一个渠道可以通过这个派发股息的方式拿现金到境外，那么这种现金既可以用来投资于这个现有的业务，也可以用来执行股份的回购。
Right. And secondly, actually, we are sort of like very under-leveraged. If you look at a balance sheet, actually the debtor is only very small amount of debtor, and we can two things. If we need it, we can increase the leverage, also to sort of get sufficient cash for us to do the share buyback. So as I said in my script, we're targeting to reduce, to have a net reduction of share count at least 3% every year in the next three fiscal years.
另外的话呢，公司的杠杆率很低，也就是说我们负债水平很低，所以如果需要，我们还可以通过提高财务杠杆率来获得更充足的现金，以进行股份的回购。那么如我在前面的发言中所讲的，我们的目标就是在接下来的3年当中，每年实现这个流通股数3%的这样一个减少。
Okay, I'll address the question about the IPO of Hema and Cainiao. So last year when we announced our reorganization, part of the goal was to make sure that we take steps to reflect the intrinsic value of our various business units in the valuation of Alibaba Group. Okay. And there are multiple ways we could do it, and we specifically talked about spinning off companies and raising capital in business units like Hema and Cainiao, so that we could put a valuation mark on these businesses. But the caveat when we made the announcement was that all these transactions were subject to market conditions. And market conditions currently are just not in a state where we believe we can really truly reflect the value, in true intrinsic value of these businesses. So in the last few months, Eddie and his team have taken a very close look at our core business, and we've come to the conclusion that right now focusing on generating synergies within the companies in our group would be the best way to reflect the value of the entire Alibaba Group. And, we're very excited about the potential for value creation through close collaboration among our businesses. In several areas, we have formed special project teams to ensure synergy creation, and we believe prioritizing synergies to strengthen our core business is the best value maximizing path today. Having said that, we continue to explore value creation through separate financings of our business units. But given the challenging market conditions, as I said, we're not in a hurry on the timing of these transactions.
好，我是周，我来回答一下第二个问题，这是关于盒马菜鸟这个 IPO 的事情。那么去年我们宣布公司重组重组的一个目标就是希望能够在集团的估值上面可以体现出每个业务部门它真正的内在的一个价值那么这可以呢有多种方式来实现。那么当时我们有谈到有些业务可以分拆上市去融资比如说盒马，比如说菜鸟这样的话呢就是可以有个明确的这样一个估值但是当时的话呢我们也是讲得非常明确，就这些交易是否推进，如何推进都是取决于市场条件的。那么当前的市场条件呢其实是没有办法现在通过这些做法来真正反映出这些业务它的真正的内在的价值那么过去的几个月当中呢 Eddie 和他的团队他们是在 这个深入仔细的去看我们所有的不同的业务。然后现在我们这个战略的聚焦点，就是说我们要来推动这个集团内不同业务之间的一个协同的效应。我们认为在当前的这个环境之下，这才是最好的一个方法，可以来就是反映出集团这些不同业务真正的一个价值。那么我们现在已经是成立了专门的一些团队在寻求和推动不同业务之间更密切的合作，推动这种协同效应的实现。我们认为这是最好的，可以使价值最大化的这么一个方法在当前。那么当然了，我们还可以也还会继续去考虑不同业务的单独的融资，但是我们不会操之过急。
Next question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Kenneth Fong with UBS. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, management. Thanks for taking my question. I have a question on investment and return. We recorded on one hand, we will continue to invest in TTG overseas area for growth. But on the other hand, in our last earnings call, we also aim to improve the ROIC for the group from single digit to double digit over time. So I want to ask about, let's say, on the numerator front, what are the segments that we see room for improvement in terms of return, and then the pace that we should expect? And on the denominator side, being asset light, what are the progress and strategy for the disposal of non-core assets? Thank you.
谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我的问题是有关于投资与回报的问题。我们知道集团将继续在这个淘天集团上面加大投资以获取增长。但同时呢，我们也记得上次的这个业绩电话会议当中，管理层是讲到会想方法呢把资本回报率逐步提升到2位数的这样一个水平。那我想知道就是在哪些业务方面你们认为可以提高这个资本的回报率，然后按照什么样的一个速度和节奏来实现然后跟这个相关的就是说在出售这个非核心资产这一方面最新的这个进展如何，还有什么计划？
Thank you, Kenneth. I'll take the first part of your question. As we said, I think as a listed company, I think it's important to improve the ROIC to the investors. So that's why during the last quarter's earnings call, we committed that we'll improve our ROIC from a single digit to double digit in the next couple of years.
Toby， 我先回答一下这个问题。对，作为上市公司我们认为就是要向投资人、向股东显示出有这个好的这个资本回报。因此我们上季度也是这个公布，我们会逐步的把资本回报率呢从这个单位数提高至2位数。
However, the improvement on the ROIC doesn't conflict with the investment we are going to make, because making investment exactly is for the growth, and for the future return of these growth eventually will also help to improve the ROIC.
但是呢就是提高 ROIC 资本回报率和我们现在准备做的这些投资是并不矛盾的两者并没有任何的冲突，因为我们今天做出这些投资也就是为了带来未来的增长，那么有了未来的增长自然就可以提高我们的资本回报率。
What we would be doing differently from previously is that we would be more focused on the core businesses as elaborated previously by Eddie. So we will focus on only the e-commerce, which is including the onshore and offshore, e-commerce business as well as cloud computing. So those are the areas, as I was emphasizing in my script, we will making investments.
那我们跟过去这个最大的不同就是说我们会专注于我们的核心业务来做这些投资。刚才 Eddie 也是很明确的讲到，那么核心业务我们准备做投资的主要一个是我们的电商业务，包括这个境内和境外的电商。那么第二个是云计算刚才我在我的发言中也是讲到，这些核心业务是我们会加大投资的重点。
Okay, and Joe will cover the several exit from some of the non-core asset investments.
关于一些非核心资产我们的退出这个问题，我交给 Joe 来回答。
Yeah, I'll talk about the sale of non-core assets since this is a major focus of the Capital Management Committee, and I chair the Capital Management Committee. We're making very good progress on non-core asset sales. So during fiscal 24 to date, so we're 9 months into this fiscal year, we have exited $1.7 billion in non-core investments, all right? And so that's a pretty good pace, and we're very, very active in looking at our listed securities, and we form a special team to execute capital markets sale transactions to get out of these listed securities. Now, in addition, Toby has referred to this. We have a number of traditional physical retail businesses on our balance sheet, and these are not our core focus. It would make sense for us to exit these businesses, but this will take time given the challenging market conditions, but we'll continue to work on it.
好的，那么关于这个非核心资产的这个出售问题我来回答一下因为这是我们的资本管理委员会它的一个重点工作，而我是资本管理委员会的主席。那么这一方面我们应该说进展非常的顺利。我们在24财年这个开始至今，也就是这9个月这个期间，我们已经完成退出了17亿美元的这些非核心的资产，所以这个速度应该说是非常不错的。同时呢，我们也非常积极的在看一些就是上市这个股票如何来退出。我们已经成立了专门的一个团队来执行这些上市公司股票的一个出售。那么刚才呢，这个Toby 也是提到了我们资产负债表上依然还是有一些这种传统的实体零售的这样的一些业务，那么这些也不是我们核心聚焦的一个业务。那么如果能够从这些完成退出的话呢，也是非常合理的这个做法，但是这个可能会需要时间，就考虑到当前的市场情况，可能会需要时间慢慢的来实现。
Next question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Alex Yao with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Thank you, management, for taking my question. I have a couple of questions on the value return to shareholder initiative. So first of all, you guys currently have a $35.3 billion available in the buyback program, which average roughly $12 billion per fiscal year, compared to the 2023 calendar year buyback pace. This is a sizable step up. Do you guys have the real serious intention to step up the buyback? Or put another way, how do you determine the $12 billion buyback per year is the right number to think about? And then holistically, if we add the buyback and dividend together and call it a yield to shareholders, do you have a target yield for the next couple of years? Thank you.
好，谢谢管理层。我的问题是有关于公司就是返还价值给股东的这些工作。那么现在股份回购计划经过规模加大以后呢，现在可用于执行回购的这个额度是在353亿美元。 那么如果是摊到每个财年这样来考虑的话呢，一个财年就是120亿左右的美元。那么相比2023年日历年度的这样的这个购买规模而言，这还是这个变大了许多。那么我想问的是，你们真的是认真的吗？你们真的是有这个意图，要真的花这么多钱来执行股份回购吗？或者是换一个方式来问，这是一年120亿美元，我们怎么知道这是正确的这么一个数字？那么另外的话呢，如果把股份回购和这个派发股息，就是分红这两者加在一起，你们认为这几年可以给股东带来什么样的这个收益率？有没有一个目标的收益率？
Okay, thank you, Alex, for this question. I think a short version answer is yes, we are serious. Of course, if you look back of our track record, we have been, in the past few years, we have, done a few upsizes of the share buyback program. So if you look at the sort of like track record, we are actually, if you like, sort of like exceeded the original timetable, if you like. So that's why the board approved another upsize this time. So that's why, as I said, we are serious.
回答这个问题，那么简单来说，这个答案是肯定的，我们肯定是非常认真严肃的。其实你可以看我们过去几年的这个过往的表现，呢，我们这是已经有数次加大了这个回购的这个规模，而且是提前这个完成，所以这次董事会是批准了进一步的加大规模。
So in terms how we decide this number, of course we need to take a few factors into consideration, including our cash generating capability and also how much cash we will be able to sort of like generate to get it to offshore. So all these we consider, and of course, as I said previously, the leveraging capability we have. So altogether, I think we consider a 12 billion is the right number, around the right number for us to do the buyback.
那我们是如何确定或者是如何决定按照这样的一个数字规模来进行呢？那么当然我们是考虑了多个不同的因素包括我们这个现金生成的能力，包括我们有多少现金能够是在境外，包括我刚才提到的，就是我们这个财务杠杆和举债的这个水平等等。那么综合这些因素，我们认为就是大概就是120亿美元每年这样的规模应该是非常适当的。
So in addition to the buyback, for this upsize, the 25 billion, that's only for the buyback. As we announced in the last quarter, we start to pay an annual dividend. So if you like, for the fiscal year 23, including the buyback of 9.8 billion and the 2.5 billion dividend, actually we're giving back more than $12 billion back to the shareholders. And going forward, we are expecting a continue with our cash generating capability, continue to deliver, to give back the shareholders, the cash as we sort of like committed.
那么除了我们这个股份回购之外这是250亿，这个仅仅是用于股份回购。那么除此之外，上季度我们也宣布将会有年度的分红。那么就23财年而言的话呢，这个股份回购是98亿加上这个分红是25亿美元加在一起，就是有超过120亿美元是返还给我们的股东的。然后就是考虑到未来我们这个现金生成的这个能力，我们完全期待可以继续的来给股东这个返还价值。
Yeah, I'd just like to supplement what Toby said. I'll do a little bit of math on this question. Toby has said in his prepared remarks that we are targeting a 3 percentage points per year of accretion per year over the next 3 years through our buyback program. And that commitment is pretty real because if you look at the past 12 months, we actually reduced our share count by 3.3%. So that accretion is, we believe is achievable. And if you look at our share count, we've about 2.5 billion shares outstanding, and 3% is 75 million shares. If we are deploying $12 billion a year to buy back our stock, at the current stock price, we actually would be able to buy back even more. But of course, we're anticipating that our stock will increase in price over the last 3 years, over the next 3 years, so that we can, we can still keep our target of 3% accretion per year. So using the $12 billion a year of buyback with rising stock price, I think it is still reasonable to get to 3% accretion a year. So that's math number one. Math number two is 3% accretion a year plus a dividend of $1 per ADS. The dividend yield is about 1.4%, and so combined with the buyback accretion and dividend yield, you're looking at about 4.4.5%, which is actually quite close to the 10-year Treasury yield. So if you buy Alibaba stock, it's like you bought a 10-year Treasury bond with the upside of stock price appreciation. So that's the math we're looking at.
我是Joe，我来补充回答一下，我们可以算一些数字。那么刚才这个Toby是讲到我们的目标，这是每年可以减少流通股的股数3%。那么这个会使得这个股价有相应的一个增值。那么这个是实际会发生的。我们可以看看过去的一年，我们就是带来了3.3%的这样一个变化。那么我们现在这个发行在外，就流通股的股数呢是25亿，那么3%呢意味着这是7500万股。那么如果是按每年120亿美元这样去执行回购这当然按照当前的股价，我们可以这个买回更多的这个股份。但是我们肯定是会认为接下来的这个3年中，我们的股价肯定是会上升的。那么如果是继续按照这个3%，这是每年120亿美元我们认为这个还是非常的合理，就是哪怕考虑到这个股价的上升。那么你说的这个收益率的问题，我们可以这样来算，就是刚才讲的是股份回购可以带来每年3%的这样一个增值。那么再来就是每股ADS 派发一个美元这个本身的这个股息是股息收益率是1.4%，那么两者加在一起的话呢，是可以大概达到4.4%或4.5%。那么这个数字非常接近于美国就10年期国债的这个收益率。所以大家如果买阿里巴巴的股票，你既可以呢享受到和美国10年国债相当的这样一个收益率，同时你还可以享受到未来这个股价上涨的这个空间。
Next question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Gary Yu with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. I have a question for Jiang Fan on international business. Just wanted to see if there is any kind of particular markets that we are focusing on. And specifically, I want to ask about our strategy in the U.S. regarding cross-border e-commerce business, given the geopolitical risks ahead of elections. And we also talk about potentially stepping up the investment on international business. How should we look at the level of segment loss in the couple of quarters, and how are we going to fund the investment? Is it more individual financing at the AIBC level, or are we going to tap into more of the kind of offshore financing capability at the group level? Thank you.
Hey, Gary, because your background is quite noisy. Can you repeat a few questions?
Hi, can you hear me better?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, apology for that. I'm in the middle of a Chinese New Year dinner. So my question regarding international business, and first one is any particular focus in terms of markets for the next couple of quarters, and specifically what is our strategy in the U.S. market given the geopolitical risks ahead of elections. And the second question also on international is we talk about stepping up the investment. How should we look at the segment loss in the coming quarters, and how are we going to fund the investment between individual financing at the AIDC level versus tapping into the group offshore financing at the group level? Thank you.
谢谢。我这个问题是问蒋凡的，是关于我们的国际业务。那么第一就想知道接下来几个季度我们主要发展的重点会是在哪些区域的市场？然后包括你们在美国的这个战略如何？考虑到现在是就选举前可能有一些地缘政治的紧张。那么第二个问题就是关于你们未来的这个投资，多少会是AIDC 本身去融资的，然后多少会是从集团层面这样来提供资金。
好的，我先回答一下第一个问题。首先我想讲一下，就是我们也分这个跨境业务跟本地业务。那么我们的本地业务其实在过去的几个季度，包括未来的几个季度，我们的效率也是在非常快速的提升。包括一些在本地业务的亏损也在快速的收窄。对。那么回到跨境业务，因为跨境业务本质上是一个相对低门槛，可以进入很多国家的一个模式。对，然后相对也是个通用的一个模式，所以我们在决定投入哪些市场的时候，更多的也是动态的会去看这个不同市场投入的一个 ROI。对，那这个 ROI 也会随着我们的用户体验的变化而带来我们的留存率的变化。然后我们的方式是我们会会有一个周期性的会去根据我们的这个投资效率的表现，然后来去评估我们在不同市场的一个投入。对，那么回到美国的这个问题，我们本身在美国也有一定的业务基础，那么无论是我们的to C 的业务，那么也包括我们的 to B 的业务。对，我们的这个阿里巴巴国际站其实也有很大部分的客户来自于美国，那美国长期也是我们非常重视的一个市场。对，那我们还是会去根据我们的就是美国的这样的一个能够提供的一个价值和一个服务，然后包括一些创新的方式来评估我们是否要在美国这个市场加大投入。对，当然就是您刚讲到的这个地缘政治风险也是我们会考虑的一个问题。对，好，这是我关于第一个问题的回答。
So this is Jiang Fan, and I'll take the first part of your question, and we can break this out and look at the business in terms of cross-border versus local. So in terms of the local business, over the past several quarters, we've seen very rapid improvement in efficiency and rapid narrowing of losses, and we expect that to continue. The cross-border business, of course, addresses all markets everywhere. It's a generic business model. And so in determining how we will allocate investments going forward, basically we look at return on investment, we look at the efficiency of the investments we've made to plan our future investments. In terms of the U.S., we actually do have a business foundation there in 2C and 2B on Alibaba.com. In fact, lots of customers are U.S. customers, so we certainly attach importance to the U.S. market, and we will evaluate whether we will be increasing our investment in the U.S. on the basis I described, looking at the value that we can bring, the innovation that we can bring, and of course, in that process, we will also take into consider the various risks that you've outlined.
I will take on the second question. Basically, you're asking how we are going to arrange the financing for AIDC, to get sufficient fundings for its investments. So generally, as actually Joe was explaining previously, AIDC is going to do financing. However, we are not rushed to do a financing. So really, depending on the market conditions, we will find the right moment to do a financing. So before that moment is coming, actually what we will be doing is, as I said, we have sufficient, offshore cash. We can use those cash to finance the business, finance the sort of growth of our businesses offshore.
好，我是Toby， 我来回答第二个问题，就是关于我们如何安排 AIDC 投资需要的这些资金。那么其实刚才 Joe 也讲了，就是 AIDC 到一定时间一定会去寻求外部融资，但是呢我们并不急，就是要看市场条件找一个正确的时间来这个进行这样的融资。那么在那之前我们有充足的境外的现金，可以为 AIDC 需要做的这些投资来提供资金。
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Thomas Chong with Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thanks management for taking my questions. I have a question on the cloud side. Given Eddie is now leading TTG and cloud, what should we expect in terms of the synergies in coming quarters? And should we expect AI to be a driver to CMR? And on that front, given we have a very good margin profile in the December quarter, any color about the long-term margin assumption that we should expect? Thank you.
好的，我这个问题是关于云的。现在就是 Eddie 是直接在管理淘天集团以及这个阿里云这两个业务。那么会不会就是短期内能够看到这两个集团之间有更多的协同效应，然后会不会利用 AI 来带动 CMR 的增长？另外就是12月季度我们看到这个有很不错的这个表现，那么想知道这个长期来讲这个利润会怎么样？
谢谢你这个问题很好，就是我们现在在阿里云以及在淘天的协同上面，确实有看到一些非常大的一个潜力，尤其是在 AI 方面。那阿里云致力于在开发一个我们的通义千问的大模型，然后在这个基础上，我们已经看到了非常多的在我们的搜索和广告这些业务上我们做了一些研究和测试，发现这里面还是有非常大的可提升空间，无论是对于我们搜索的成交转化率以及广告的匹配和那个变现效率，但是这些我们都还是在一个产品研究测试的一个早期阶段。我们相信这一部分的对于 AI 的深入的研究和投入，我们相信会对淘天未来的搜索广告产品会产生一个非常积极的帮助，但是我们现在还只是处于产品的研发的这个早期阶段。
Thank you, and that's a really great question. Certainly, I see very strong potential for greater synergy between Alibaba Cloud and the Taobao Tmall Group, especially driven by AI. As you know, we've been developing our own large language model called 通义千问, and we're currently testing ways to leverage this model, to leverage the AI capabilities to enhance search and to enhance advertising as well. This initiative is still in the early testing phase, but we see very strong potential to leverage AI to significantly enhance search conversion and ad monetization. So as I say, that's still in early testing, but we see excellent potential there.
Okay, next question, please.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Ellie Jiang with Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, management, for taking my question. I just have a follow-up question on the AIDC international unit. The management earlier shared some exciting developments in the overseas market, but it seems like this quarter, the international unit basically saw a very big widened loss to around 3 billion RMB. So just wondering, how do we anticipate the investment pace onwards, considering certain of the key kind of growing markets such as AliExpress Choice, the hybrid model, as well as the Trendyol, seems to be still in the very early development stage. So, going forward, how do we really evaluate the economics as well as the competitive landscape? Thank you.
对，我想后续就 AIDC 来提问因为管理层是介绍了很多新的这个投资，就是 AIDC 这边但是我们看到的话呢 ，AIDC 的这个亏损还是扩大至30亿人民币，所以想要知道你们未来投资的一个速度和节奏大概会是怎样的？我们知道这个AliExpress Choice 这个新的混合模式包括这个 Trendyol 都是一个早期的一个发展阶段，那么可不可以谈一下未来这些投资的一个节奏？
对，我想说的就是说，我们这个季度的亏损主要是有3个方面造成。第一就是说，我们的这个 AliExpress Choice 的这个模式在我们整个跨境的这个比例大幅度提升。因为这个模式呢还处在一个早期阶段，而且这个模式有非常明显的规模效应，所以我们初期还是会通过投资把规模做大，然后再追求一个长期的一个优异的一个收敛。对。然后第二个原因就是也是因为大促季我们在营销上面也会相对其他季度会花的多一些。然后第三就是我们在新兴市场，包括Trendyol在中东等一些市场会早期进行一些投入。对。然后未来的一段时间我认为也是会在一个比较大规模的一个投入期。首先我们看到这个 Choice Model 的用户体验跟用户留存对比这个之前的模式都有较明显的上升。那么我们也相信在一个更长的周期内我们的投入是可以有一个比较好的一个回收的。对。所以我们接下来还是会把这个增长规模作为最大第一优先级。
Thank you. Well, the loss in AIDC's business this quarter really came from 3 different areas. The first is that the new model, the AliExpress Choice model, has grown very rapidly and now accounts for a very significant percentage of the business overall. At the same time, it's an early stage business still being developed. It's a business that has very strong scale effects, so our priority is to invest in scaling up the business. And when the business has achieved scale, then as it grows, the loss will narrow and the business will become profitable. The second thing that contributed to the losses this quarter was significant spending on marketing and some major promotions that we did. And thirdly, some investments that we made in the Middle East and other key markets. Going forward, I think that we'll continue to be making large investments in this business, in particular around Choice. We see very clearly that Choice is delivering a better user experience and resulting in much better user retention than the previous model. So over a longer period of time, we're certain that Choice will produce very positive investment returns. But the priority right now, the number one priority, is to continue to invest in scaling up the business.
Next question, final question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Jialong Shi with Nomura. Please go ahead.
Thanks management for taking my question. 谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我的问题的话，我有2个很快的问题。第一个问题就是想请教一下管理层，就是在前不久有一些媒体报道是说爸爸有可能会考虑出售这个饿了么，能不能请管理层评论一下这个 media report。 然后第二个问题也是关于这个 AIDC 的，就是想问一下在东南亚这边我们这个巴巴的这个海外AIDC 在这个印尼市场占我们的这个东南亚 Lazada 的这个比重有多大？然后的话就是跟这个问题相关的就是在那个 TikTok 和这个 Tokopedia 的那个合作，以及印尼政府对于这个跨境电商的这个限制，对于这个 Lazada 的这个影响是怎么样的？我们是如何来应对这个挑战？谢谢。
Thank you. So a couple of quick questions for management, if I may. First of all, I'm wondering if you could respond to a recent media report saying that the Alibaba Group would be considering selling Ele.me. If you could respond to that, please. Second question has to do with AIDC. Can you tell us how big Lazada's business is in Southeast Asia? And the impact that you've seen in Indonesia from the team up between TikTok and its local partner.
好，我来回答一下第一个问题啊，因为这个之前因为其实我们已经对这个市场的这样一个谣言进行过了一个辟谣，所以回来我想这个我在这里不需要多讲。那同时的话我也想讲一下，其实那个从饿了么的角度来讲，还是一个对于我们来讲是一个进场的一个很重要的这样一个资产，所以这个上次我们在我们的 PR 里面已经强调过，所以我想我们不需要再多去强调这一点。
Thanks. This is Toby. I'll take that first question. I don't think there's any need for us to make further comment because we've already addressed that rumor and have stated that that's not true. As far as Alibaba is concerned, Ele.me is a very important asset for us in the hyperlocal segment.
关于Lazada，首先我想说，东南亚依然是我们一个非常重要的一个市场。对，然后整个东南亚的这个渗透率依然还有很大的一个空间。对，然后我们在未来还是会保持一个效率跟这个规模增长间的一个平衡。那我们也在非常快速的去收敛我们的这样的一个亏损。对，那么同时也保持一个增长。对，所以就是说我们在东南亚还是会坚持的这样的一个可控的规模上的一个投入。对，然后关于印尼的这个跨境的这些限制，我们其实一直是比较遵守当地的监管的一个规则的，所以对我们的影响相对有限。
Thank you. Well, Southeast Asia continues to be a very important market for us, and there remains significant potential for us to deepen our penetration in Southeast Asia. Our approach is to continue to balance efficiency against growth, to continue to work to narrow the losses in the business while maintaining growth. So going forward, our strategy will be to continue to make investments at an appropriate scale to grow in Southeast Asia. As far as the restrictions imposed by the Indonesian authorities, the impact on us is relatively limited because we always abide by regulatory requirements.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's earnings call. That concludes our earnings for today. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll see you next quarter. Thank you.
That does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.